The Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast is proudly sponsored by New Vision.
My team, kinda power. I love the power. I love the power.
Hi everyone, I am Macca 19 and this is the Big Footy Port Adelaide podcast coming to you live once again on Port Fan Radio, a fan-driven online radio station about the Port Adelaide Footy Club. As usual, I'm stuck here with Fishing Rick as co-host. How are you, buddy?
You're stuck here. Really? I can leave you if you like. That's fine. You can do all the dirty work yourself.
I love it.
But I am here again, sitting at my desk in my creaky chair at work for you guys and for Macca. I'm
Brilliant.
stuck. But I'm very well, thank you, and looking forward to another exciting weekend of footy and bashing you in the footy tips once again.
First time in a long time, I must say.
Yes, probably.
And look, we've got someone that we spoke to last year. He's the artist formerly known as Lurker and who now goes by the name of HaaWingard. How are you, mate?
G'day, I'm pretty good. Feeling good.
Right.
This is outrageous. People should not be able to change their internet handles. It should just be, once you've got a name, that's it. No change.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yep.
I wouldn't have, but everyone else does, so thought I may as well.
That's it. There was the great name change of, 2013, where I just completely lost track of who anybody was on the forum.
Yeah. I blame that guy, Stormageddon. He changed his name 12 times every day.
That's it.
That's just
Well, look,
crazy.
Rick, you want to talk about some competitions that we're going to be running in the next few weeks?
Cool, I am. Yes, but firstly I want to say thank you to everyone that's been a host or a co-host so far, including guests like Lurker, but also the other people that are the Power Pair and Willow and his crew and Al and Phil and us. Everyone's put in a lot of time and effort so far, and it's and the response has been great from everyone that's listening. And just to bear with us, we've had some technical issues with a few of the first up starters in relation to converting to MP3 and then podcasting, but we'll get there, and then we'll have everything set up and going over the next week or so. So that will be that one. And I also wanted to say thanks to the Port Club, Dave Banner and Barry Curtin. I had a good meeting with them during the week, and they're very supportive of getting on board with Port Fan Radio, and so they're going to offer up some meal vouchers to give away on some of the shows. So I reckon that's a bit of a bonus for us all. So if you interact with the hosts of the show, there'll be a few competitions up for grabs. So we're going to try something a bit impromptu tonight at some stage, Macca, much to your disgust.
Yep,
Hey?
if you want.
If we
fine
want.
by me.
So we're gonna put up a $100 merch voucher for the Port Club, but it's a Who Am I? And at some random time when you bore me too much, I'll say let's do the Who Am I competition, and what we'll do is we'll get someone to Skype in who they think it is. First person to send in a Skype, that will be their guess, and we'll see, and then that can flow over. So that's that. And the other one, I guess I just wanted to point out in relation to the Port Club is, they're very grateful for the supporters. That's the message that I got out of the meeting the other day. And they just want to reinforce to everyone, in case they don't realise, that 100% of the profits of the Port Club, being at the club or at the village, are going back to the club. So don't feel intimidated if you're actually going to the club that some of the money is being siphoned off somewhere else. It is actually going all to the club. And, there's been this rumour and innuendo about some establishments at the ground that might not be port related. I guess my tip for people is, if you're not sure if what you're using is an SMA or an SANFL or is it a Port Adelaide run establishment, go to a port official and just ask them. I'm sure they'll answer the question for you and go from there.
Absolutely. Well said.
No dramas.
That's it. Well, look, let's get straight into it and talk about probably the biggest news this week, which was the Andrew Moore suspension. We mentioned it on the podcast on Monday night that Andrew Moore was reported in the SANFL last weekend for intentionally making contact with an umpire during the match against North Adelaide. He was found guilty of this offence and he's been given a 3-week suspension. The club did appeal, but that was dismissed tonight. What are your thoughts on this, guys? Is it justified or is it a bit too harsh?
I think it's definitely too harsh. I don't know. Doesn't sit with me, but because the umpire didn't care, and I mean it was such a minor thing. Like, why does that need to warrant such a harsh thing? I don't know.
I agree. I mean, if the umpire's got no offence to it, and there was no aggression in the action at all, why should he be rubbed out? Maybe a warning for, look, just remember you can't intentionally manipulate an umpire physically. And not only that, the umpire was sort of entering Andrew Moore's sphere in the conversation. It's not like he was walking away from Andrew and then Andrew was approaching him in anger. It was just a conversation as they were walking off the ground. I think we're losing sight of the context of what touching an umpire is supposed to be. I mean, we went through that period with the centre squares where umpires were getting bowled over recklessly by players, and so obviously the AFL had no choice but to start imposing penalties just to create that awareness with players. There is a duty of care to the umpires, and obviously you physically harm an umpire with an intent, well then you obviously should be rubbed out, if not banned, because that's just appalling. But if you're having a conversation with the umpire and in that conversation you do a physical demonstration of what's happening, that's just completely ridiculous and an overreaction, and it's absurd. And I know you think that he's broken the rules and he should know better, Macca, but when it's just a pure conversation, I just think it's just crazy.
I don't know, it looked a bit aggressive to me. I think it's justified. 3 weeks might be a bit too harsh. I would have probably gone for 2. I would have accepted 2. So I can understand them appealing, trying to get the suspension down a little bit. But look, in the end, everyone knows that you're not allowed to touch the umpires, whether it's aggressive, unaggressive, whether it's a tap on the shoulder or not. Everyone knows that you're not allowed to touch the umpires. He's decided to do it. You just got to deal with the suspension now, I think.
Yeah, like that's what it comes down to. But it just seems like he knows what he's done, so I don't know. Doesn't seem necessary.
Well, it's even more frustrating because he's on the edge of the team and probably would have played this week, and it would have been his big chance to maybe try and cement himself in the side once and for all. I have a feeling he'd be feeling pretty down about now.
I find it hard to believe, Macca, that you think that was an aggressive body contact by Andrew. I mean, the umpire and Andrew have said he was just illustrating what was happening in a free kick situation, and I think the only part of aggression was he was sort of just a bit agitated with his body language in maybe giving away the free kick. So, yeah, I just find it outstanding. It just needs to be context in these decisions, and it's not one of those things where you can just have a black and white rule. If that's the case, you want a black and white rule. Like was pointed out in the forums during the week. Well, then should umpires be patting players on the bum and saying "well done" when they kick a goal, or entering into their personal space and even touching them? I mean, you can't have double standards. It just makes it really confusing.
So where does it end though? Like, if you let this go, then suddenly more players are going to start doing this. More players are going to start recreating what happened in a contest on the umpire. Where does it go from there?
Well, then basically the umpire shouldn't enter into any discussion with the player about a free kick once it's passed. The game had ended at that period of time. It was dead time, and so basically the umpire. If Andrew instigated the conversation, the umpire should have said, "Mate, free kick's done, see you later." And he shouldn't have been walking over and having a conversation or a debate with Andrew about the free kick. That's how it should be. Either if you're going to let them have an intelligent discussion about a free kick, that sort of body contact happens. I do it with conversation with people all the time. That's how I communicate, with my hands and expression, and people do that. and a lot of people do that. So if you don't want that interaction, well, then you have to train the umpires that just do not entertain any discussion with the players at any time during or in the breaks of a game.
I don't know. I can see what he's done is wrong. So I don't know. I doubt we'll ever agree on this. And look, I think there's a really interesting tweet from Bevan who says, if it wasn't a televised game, I doubt he would have been reported. And I think Bevan's 100% correct.
Well, who would have reported him? The umpire forgot anyway, so maybe some North fan or something.
Well, like you said, boys, it's done now. There's not much we can do about it. There's no point bitching and moaning about it anymore because it's not going to change anything. And, we can keep going on about the SANFL hates us or whatever. But Macca, as he said, he did it. He touched the umpire and he's been punished. And I guess he's going to have to live and learn. And we just got to move on to bigger and better things.
Look, bigger and better things. Let's talk about the AFL game this Saturday night. It's round 4. We're set for a massive ANZAC Day blockbuster against Hawthorn at Adelaide Oval. We've got a 16-13 win-loss record against the Hawks. We shared the points one each in 2014. Obviously, the last time we met was the 3-point prelim final loss at the MCG last year. I guess the first question I've got is, A, can we win? And B, if so, what's going to turn it around from the prelim loss last year?
Well, I think we have the home ground advantage, which is pretty huge, and I think we're probably a bit further away from them this year, from what I've seen so far. So I'm not very confident going in, but I do think we have a pretty strong chance, especially with Lobie coming back in and Ryder added to the side. I think it'll be a pretty close game, and it can go either way. And the home crowd will be a big advantage in that kind of game.
Now, look, I think we definitely can win. Maybe we should win. And I guess Rick's point is correct in that have we improved from the prelim last year? I think we maybe have in terms of our structure, especially if Lobie does end up playing. I think that's going to be a crucial win for us. But I think the question has to go on the flip side as well, and that's have Hawthorn improved, and they've had a pretty decent start to the season themselves as well.
Yeah, and they did improve the next week against Sydney, so maybe they're just carrying on that form. I don't know, but yeah, I think we've improved, but it's hard to tell until we play them, I guess. I mean, we played Sydney and got thrashed, and we played Fremantle. It was pretty close, but there's just not enough evidence out there to see who's really the best side at the moment.
Yeah. Well, what do you think is going to turn it around from the loss last year?
I think the home ground. I may sound very cynical, just saying, but I think the crowd won them the game last time, and the ground as well. It was such a close game that you've got to say things like that would be a huge factor.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just going to be who gets on top early, and I mean, if we can apply scoreboard pressure at home, then it's going to be really, really hard for them.
That's it. Rick, what do you reckon, mate?
You dropped me, Macca.
I think you dropped yourself.
I know I did. I think for some reason my hardwired internet dropped out. What do I think about what? I think we're about even with last year. So I think Hawthorn's about even with last year. So I reckon it's going to be a pretty close game, obviously, to quote cliches. I guess Peter, how do I pronounce his last name? Machos?
Yep.
Our photographer. He reckons that Lobie hasn't been kicking with his right leg. So at training. So are we playing a few games? Like is Lobie just protecting his right leg still, or are we picking someone who might not be playing? So
does Jared Pollock kick with his right leg?
Yeah, but he's a left footer. Isn't Lobie a right footer?
Maybe he's changed. I don't know. It's been a long preseason.
Well, I hope so, because I think we really need him. If Lobie plays, I think we're a big chance. And I'm in my notes. I've got for us what we need to do is we need to make sure we find space, and I think that's what's really hurt us a bit this year. We've struggled to find space a lot more. So running the flanks, running the wings. Sydney was fantastic at denying that. And I think that's going to be a game breaker for us this year or this week.
Yeah, I thought we lost a lot of really easy clearances as well against North Melbourne. Like there was one where Andrew Swallow got it, and he just kicked it straight into the centre of the ground, and they got a goal straight away. And Lobie hopefully would help that if he came in, because he does tend to tackle straight away if he doesn't get the hit out. Yeah. But we'll see.
I'd be pretty confident with us playing Lobie and Ryder against Segler and McAvoy that we've got the better, at least on paper, in the ruck battle. And we've got two different types of rucks there as well, whereas in my opinion, Segler and McAvoy are both pretty similar ruckmen. I think Ryder's going to be the key, especially if Lobie does play. If Lobie can sort of tire those two ruckmen, and Ryder can come in and start jumping over the top of them, I mean, that's the whole reason why we got Ryder. That's going to be a fantastic thing.
Absolutely. And I also think we can't afford our key midfield to drop out for an extended period of time like they did last week in that third quarter. So we need and that's going to be the big challenge with Ollie Wines. We've been battling without Lobie and we've noticed the difference. This is going to be our first game without Ollie Wines in over 50 games. So how is our midfield going to react to that?
Well, we need to improve our midfield work rate, especially from the prelim last year. I think we were thrashed in the ruck and the clearances in that prelim final. And if you look at the stats so far this year, and yes, it's not a big sample at the moment, it's only 3 games, but Hawthorn are plus 11 in clearances, plus 18 in contested possessions. We're minus 5 and minus 13 per game on our opponent. So Hawthorn on paper definitely have the probably the key in their midfield, in that they can actually win the hard ball. And Hodge and Lewis have started the season in absolutely dynamite form. And Mitchell's been great as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how we do go without Ollie Wines. And that's probably one of the reasons why I'm pretty disappointed that we've lost Archie as well through omission.
Yeah, that's fair. He did offer a lot inside. I don't know. He was only on for a quarter though, so he may not have been. He would have probably had to be sub again to guarantee some sort of output from him. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think you lose Ollie Wines, who's a fantastic inside midfielder. I think Archie brings those same sort of traits to the table. For me, I personally would have left him in the side for another week.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, who would you have dropped for Kane and Lobie?
I probably wouldn't have brought Kane back in, to be honest, but that's just me.
Yeah, but isn't Kane the Mr. Go-To for Sam Mitchell? Haven't they had like a 10-year running battle, and Kane's generally done pretty well on Mitchell? Yeah.
I mean, Hodge and Lewis are probably more dangerous at this point in time.
Well, I was having a look at the Essendon game because I totally disregarded the Bulldogs game that Hawthorn played, and I guess Hawthorn lost, and what are the two key influences from what I saw? Mitchell didn't play, and Roughhead only kicked 1 goal. So you still had Jordan Lewis up there with 34 possessions. You had Luke Hodge up there with 30 possessions. So obviously when they're going to get the ball regardless, but losing Sam Mitchell obviously created a bit of a difference in their midfield structure and extraction, and obviously negating Roughhead with their goal scoring obviously was another key indicator of that game too. So I just wonder if blanket Mitchell with Kane, keep him with blanket Mitchell with Kane, and hopefully that might go a long way to nullifying Hawthorn's advantage in the contest. You can disagree if you like.
Yeah, no, as I said, I still would have left Archie in, and you never know, he might come back into the side if Matty White doesn't come up. So.
What's this stomping allegation that people are accusing the nasty opposition doing to us boys?
The stomping?
Yeah, there's this suspicion that teams are intentionally stomping on our feet to negate our run in the games, and some people believe it's been quite noticeable in the first 3 rounds. Have you noticed anything like that?
Can't say I have, to be honest.
I didn't notice it either.
Yeah.
No?
That's new to me.
News to you?
I'll keep an eye on it now, but
Well, anyone
I
listening
haven't
in,
noticed that at all.
have they noticed the stomping of feet in the game so far? I noticed a few people made reference to it. I hadn't noticed it myself, but they reckon if you look in the replays, has been quite noticeable. And I guess it would be a clever little ploy to try and slow us down. You'd think the umpires wouldn't let them get away with it, though.
How would you even see it, though? You're not looking at people's feet.
Yeah, I mean, jeez.
That's pretty clever, to be honest.
Yeah.
We'll have to keep an eye out from the most unsociable team in the AFL, Hawthorn, this week.
Yeah, they'll probably stomp on people's feet and then like fall over and call a free kick for it or something. Knowing Luke Hodge and the others.
That's it. Well, look, what are your concerns going into this game? Because I've got a couple of big ones.
I'm worried about Jared Ruffhead, I tell you that. After the preliminary final, where he just single-handedly took the game and won it for him. I don't know.
I'm worried about stomping. As Lambo just tweeted in saying stomping, surely that's reportable. I'm sure if you could prove that it was intentional, yeah. But I'm worried about our midfield. I think we're still a little bit down there and not firing on all cylinders. Maybe as a team unit, and maybe that's just the adjusting to the new midfield coach in Michael Voss. And Hawthorn is a well-oiled machine, like Sydney. So that aspect, if we're not fully switched on, is one that's going to be taken advantage of.
Yeah. Look, I guess the two main concerns that I have is number one, the key forwards. Ruffhead and Gunston always seem to do pretty well against Port Adelaide, and Ruffy's kicked 11 goals in his last two games against Port. Pretty much single-handedly won them the prelim, and Gunston's kicked 10 in his last three games against Port Adelaide as well. So, we really do need to stop these guys from having as big an impact as they've had in the past. Carlisle on Ruffhead hasn't been a great matchup for us in the past, so it'll be interesting to see if we change that around a bit. Maybe play Trengove on him or try Homsch. Homsch had a pretty good game on Gunston at Adelaide over last year, so that'll be pretty interesting. The second concern I've got is Hawthorn's pace. They are a super quick team, and I'm talking about guys like Isaac Smith, Burgoyne, Rioli, Puopolo, Bruce, Brad Hill, Hartung, Langford. They're all super quick players and mostly through the midfield as well. And whilst we've got plenty of pace on our own, I don't think we have enough that we can cover their quickness of ball movement and the way that they counter-attack from the back line as well.
And Hill is back for this week's game too.
He is, yep. Yeah, yes. They've dropped Jed Anderson, so Brad Hill comes back in. And, I think we've actually seen Kane Corns go to him the last... at stages in the last two games, so it'll be interesting to see if he goes to him again.
So who do you reckon's going to run with Ruffhead?
I'd like to see Trengove go with Ruffhead, at least to start with.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call.
He might not have the strength, but I think his ability to read the play and his sort of general smarts are a little bit better than Carlisle's. And look, we can't afford to have Ruffhead kicking 5 or 6 goals again.
No, I agree with you completely. And it makes sense. It's a good matchup, I reckon, having Trengove on Ruffhead, because he could sort of match his height around the ground and also deep. So I guess body strength might be the key there, because Ruffhead's obviously a big fella. So, but maybe if he goes deep, that's where they switch, and then Carlisle potentially goes onto him.
And they've only got the two key forwards. I mean, they've got two ruckmen in the side as well. So we'll probably see McAvoy spend some time up forward, but I think Carlisle should be able to do a good job on him. Yeah,
I agree. Well, I mean, it's going to be a close game. Have we lost Lurker? Is he still there? Or is he lurking in the background just stalking us?
I'm still here. Sorry, my girlfriend's asking me about Netflix. So it was an interesting conversation.
Netflix?
Yeah, it's good, man. Get on it.
Is that the new way of TV?
I believe it is.
All right. Yes. Maybe we can have a podcast on that one day.
We could.
Maybe.
we'll get her on. But yeah, look, we just need to have the space. I'll go back to what I said before, and don't allow Hawthorn to deny our midfield. So, and that's where the introduction of Lobie becomes all more important, doesn't it? So he'll, along with Ryder, give our midfielders a better opportunity to win the centre clearance. And I mean, that stat was up for us against North Melbourne, the centre clearances, and obviously we had a lot more goal scoring power. So there's no coincidence there, is there?
I'd like to see us not handball inside 50 ever again.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That's horrible.
I don't mind one, but when it starts getting like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row inside 50, then it starts to get a bit frustrating.
Yeah, it's like, where are you going? Where they're just getting more players inside 50, and you're just going to get a ball up. What's the point?
So who would be your game changers for us for this week's game?
Game changer for us. Look, I think probably our small forwards. So I'm thinking maybe Robbie Gray or HaaWingard. You know, they both had very good games the last time we won against them last year, and also in the prelim. They both kicked a lot of goals. So they're probably the two that I think Hawthorn struggle with. You know, Hawthorn seem to match up really well against our key forwards, but they do seem to struggle against our small forwards. So I think if they can get off the leash, I think they're definitely the game changers for us.
And I think Wingard's due for a big game, isn't he?
He is. He's been pretty steady to start the season. I don't think he's been as bad as what some people have been making him out to be, but I think he's been pretty steady. And yeah, look, he's ready to go bang. And I'd love to see him kick 3 or 4 this week. So
who's your pick, Loka?
For our game changer, I'd probably say Wingard. I think he's got a bit left in him, and I think Hamish Hylett. He was quite unfit against Sydney, but he looked a lot better against North Melbourne, so I actually expect that he'll have a really, really strong game against Hawthorn, who I think he's historically had good games against as well. So
cool.
I feel like Hamish Hartlett's the big one for us. And maybe Jared Pollock as well. So if anyone more midfield time.
Yeah, I like that call. Pollock.
Well, he's sort of been down from his pre-season form a little bit, hasn't he? He's he sort of dominated the pre-season. He's obviously getting a lot of attention, and he's still playing the same way. He's just not maybe getting as much as what I thought. But I'll be interested to hear what anyone that's listening in tweet us in who they reckon their game changer would be. I've actually gone for Matty White and Jasper Pittard because well, I think my key to winning is that we have to use the open space and get into the open space, and so those two players are the biggest exponents of utilising the open space. So if those boys can run off the half-back flank through that space and deliver inside 50, I think that's going to show that we've got our running game firing, and we'll get a lot of inside 50s to win the game.
Yeah.
What about Kane Mitchell? He's a good runner.
Who?
Out there. Kane Mitchell.
Who? Isn't he in the Magpies?
Rick.
Oh, sorry, he kicked the winning goal, didn't he?
Oh.
The man. Yeah, I don't look at him as that type of player for some reason. Does he have would you say he's got blistering pace?
I don't think he's quick. I think he
can run fast for long.
Repeat running is what sort of sets him up.
He's sort of like a Kane Corns, you know. You look at Kane and he just keeps on running and doesn't stop and just burns his opponents into the ground just by his endurance. I think that's how I look at Kane. So, I mean, I don't really have visions of Kane flashing through the half-back flank down the wing to deliver the ball inside 50. I sort of see him sort of trying to extract the ball out of the contest or just provide that link-up play and be that person handballing second last in the chain to your Jasper Pittard or Matty White or Jared Pollock.
He can be on the end of it, though. Like, he can be just 50 metres in the clear on the half forward flank and then run in for an easy goal or something.
Or take a mark with a minute to go and kick the winning goal and be an absolute legend.
He could do that too. He probably will.
I'd be happy with that. And it was a joke aside. I thought Kane had a great game last week. So I think he deserved to be rewarded with another backup game this week, and hopefully he can do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. He was really good.
So if Matty White doesn't come up, who from the emergencies do you think will come in?
Oh, let me go back to the team selection.
So it's Archie, Need and Paul Stewart. Do you think Paul Stewart might be a bit of a smoky?
No, I don't think so. It'd have to be first in, first out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think Archie would just come straight back in.
Yeah.
Or because we're losing White, do you think we'll go with the more pacey need instead?
Maybe it would depend on the weather. How if it is really, really wet and slippery, maybe they'll go with Jake Need over Archie, and if it's the wind drops off a bit and it's dry, maybe they'll stick with Brendan and leave Jake on the emergency list.
Yep.
What do you reckon?
No, sounds good to me. I like that.
Sounds good to you?
Yep.
All right. And just in case we do have some people listening, because no one's really tweeting, we'll do our Who Am I while we're gibbering away, Macca. So
Yep.
the Who Am I is, I was born in 1966. So the first person to send us a message on Skype to Port Fan Radio will take your answer. All right. And if it's not the right answer, we'll carry over to the next one. And we've got a $100 Port store voucher for some merchandise for the person who ends up getting it correct. And you can't guess, Macca.
Can I guess?
I don't know who it is anyways.
Even though you've had about 100 already, and I've kept saying
I have.
Lurker, you can have a guess, but if you're right, I'll just say no online, kill you afterwards. But have a shot if you like. Who do you?
No, I was
reckon?
gonna have to look it up. I have no idea who was born in 1966.
All right. So if you're listening and you want to have a shot at the voucher, just send Port Fan Radio a Skype with what your guess is, and Macca will read out the first one. So what are we up to, mate?
Well, look, we'll read out some tweets. We've had a couple. One from Paul Valutis, who says, "Is it true that Phil Walsh was in the Crows corporate box watching Port Adelaide's closed training session?" And I have heard this rumour. Apparently, it was on radio today. And if it is true, that's pretty disappointing.
Opportunistic.
Very opportunistic.
Yeah, but who's accountable?
Well, look, it's a great job on Walsh's part, considering we play them next week. But yeah, very disappointing that that's allowed to happen.
Yeah.
Freo guy again.
Well, how does that get through?
I don't know.
Really?
Some people there not paying attention, I guess.
He must have just stayed there from Sunday.
He's been sleeping there since Sunday. That's great.
There seems to be a bit of espionage going on in the AFL camp this year. We've got Freo spies. Walsh would know all our secrets anyway, so what's he learning? Maybe he was there as a bonding session to give our former coaches some support. Wasn't he associating himself with Michael Voss last week as well? Having a cafe latte or something like that? Parting some words of wisdom?
Sounds about right.
Well, good luck to them. That means we've got them scared if they have to come and try and scout us and try and get advanced material on what we're doing.
That's it. Well, look, a couple of other tweets from Lambo. His game changer is the Brog Dog, Matty Broadbent. I like that call.
The Cobra.
The Cobra.
The game changer?
The game changer, yep.
Yeah. Well, he's becoming a hard player now. Would you put him up there as our top 5 hardest players in the team at the moment?
Certainly in terms of courage, I think he'd be up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he has any fear. He's quite happy to sort of back into packs and put himself in the hole, that sort of thing. So yeah.
We have a lot of players
he'd be up there.
Yeah.
A lot of players are like that. It's pretty good.
Who else would be in our top 5 tough or courageous players?
Chad Wingard,
Chad?
Wingard,
Boki?
for sure. Robbie Gray probably as well.
Jack Homsch?
Courageous.
Yeah, Jack Homsch. Yep.
Some of
Might have him up there.
some of the backing into the pack. And Bevan's tweeted in an answer. So obviously, Bevan, you got to send your answer into Port Fan Radio on Skype and be the first one. So
Well, dear.
Bevan, you're out of control. Follow the rules, man. What's going on here?
Well, look, it looks like we do have a response from Dylan, who was on
Right.
the podcast last week.
Cool.
He has sent in an answer of Tim Ginniver, as he was
Timmy
born
G.
in 1966.
No, it's not. And that was one of That was one of your 20 guesses.
That was one of my 45 guesses, yes.
All right. Unfortunately, no. So, all right, I'll let one more come through tonight if we get another one. Otherwise, we'll go to next week. Interesting. Now, Macca's going to go through the history books in fine detail to try and work this out.
You know
Yeah,
it.
I tried.
You
Google.
know
It's not working for me.
Look, Lambo sent in another tweet as well. He's asked, who goes to Bruce?
Good question. Good player. I would have... Because he plays tall for a small, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
So, I mean,
I have a feeling Pittard went on him last year a couple of times, and Bruce had a pretty decent prelim, but a pretty disappointing early game, I think, in the season. So I wouldn't mind seeing Pittard go to him again.
Yeah, well, as I pointed out last week, and I think David King did last night, and I got to see it, that his defensive ability and spoiling has really improved this year. So I'd probably give Pittard first shot, as long as it doesn't detract from his offensive ability.
Yep.
Yeah, probably Pittard. Or maybe, I would think Jonas maybe as well. Or even Broadbent. Any of them are pretty good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to see Cracker on him, I don't think. But otherwise, I think anyone could.
No, I think Cracker would be the perfect matchup for Rioli, to be honest.
Yeah, that's
Fast
cool.
enough?
Oh, definitely fast enough, I think.
Yeah.
It's whether he's fit enough and clever enough, I think. And, you know, he can always go into Bruce a bit later. But...
His
Bruce-
spoiling didn't look very good from what I saw at the North Melbourne game. I saw him try and spoil the ball, and his arm went a metre away from where the ball was. So I don't know about him. I don't know, playing on a really
Bruce-
dangerous small forward.
Bruce is more of a crumbing player, though, isn't he? An opportunist? Is that how you would look at him?
Yeah, he's an opportunity. Yeah, I'd agree with that. He sort of hits the packs front on, and you know he's very good at picking up the crumbs and running on into goal. But he can take a mark as well.
So you really need sort of like a Tom Jonas lockdown type of player to sort of be accountable for him then.
Yeah.
But I mean,
We've got a second answer in
Okay.
from Daniel Walton,
Yes.
who was sent in the mullet, Greg Anderson.
Good player, but no.
Oh,
All right. Okay. It continues on till Monday night.
There's no more
we will
clues.
have another clue next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have another clue lined up. I did test this out on Macca because Macca said, "Nah, that sucks, Rick." And so I said, "All right, try it." And because Macca's just brutally honest with me, but I'd have it no other way. And so he's there guessing away, and he hasn't guessed it. So I thought my clues are all right. So there'll be a clue on Monday.
That's it. All right, boys. Who's going to win? Let's get our predictions out there.
Port Adelaide by 14 points.
Whatever you declare, Macca, are you going to put in your footy tips for real?
Yes, I will.
Okay, so what is your pick?
My pick is Hawthorn by 39 points this week.
Shit, 39 points.
Yes, 39 points.
Where is your conviction?
Well, I think they're going to be too quick. I think they're going to be too strong in the midfield. I think their key midfielders are in absolutely fantastic form. I think we're really going to miss Ollie Wines. And I don't know. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I have a feeling that Roughhead's going to have another day out.
Do I actually have to say an answer to this question?
You do, yes.
Well, I pick with my head with the footy tips, but my heart is just taking over, and I can't.
Throbbing.
I can't not pick Port Adelaide. Double negative. I just have this gut feeling. My head wants to pick Hawthorn, but I just have this gut feeling that Port Adelaide is going to come out ANZAC Day. I saw REH at the footy club during the week, and he was there helping hang up some of these Bob Quinn framed ANZAC medals. And I think the boys are going to be pumped for the moment of ANZAC Day. And even though we're missing a few players, I think they're going to rise to the challenge and And then it'll be an interesting position because if we do win, we're going to be 2-2 and Hawthorn's going to be 2-2, but Hawthorn's the premiership favourite at the moment. So where does that make us sit at 2-2 in the season if that happens?
I think we would be sitting quite pretty at 2-2, to be honest. I think you'd take that every day of the week.
Yes,
I would be very, very happy if we're 2-2.
Yeah, that would be pretty good from you. It's a lot better than 1-3 as well. It's a lot better.
2-2, having beaten North Melbourne and Hawthorn on the trot, I'd be pretty confident going into the showdown.
Yes, well, they've had a marshmallow draw, haven't they? So, but they're going to be full of confidence. So confidence can take you a long way sometimes. But there'll be a conversation for next week, I guess.
That's it. Well, look, Hayden on Twitter has said, tough game, but Port by 5. I like that. And Isaac has sent in a question. He thinks Ryder could certainly be dangerous, and he's not sure how Hawthorn can match up on all three of Schultz, Westhoff and Ryder in the forward 50.
Yeah, what about Westhoff? He's going to have his breakout game this week, isn't he? With Patrick Ryder and Levy both playing.
Let's hope so. He's had a pretty slow start to the season, so he certainly needs a big one this week.
He was good against North in the first half, I thought. Playing basically in the midfield. Thought he got a lot of the ball and was pretty good, but then he sort of disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess you can have all the best forward line in the world, but if your midfield doesn't get it down there or it doesn't get it down there very well, it doesn't help you, does it? So, we just need... I think our defensive system's been fantastic, and all credit to Matthew Nicks. He's living the dream of being talked up as a coach in waiting, and he's showing that with his defensive structures. So we just need our forward line and our midfield to deliver for a full 4 quarters, and I reckon we'll be all right.
Yeah, I think our forward line really needs to step it up. I don't know. They haven't been that good. Not sure exactly what's going on with them, but they just seem to... not be able to get free and...
Yeah, but forward's a result of your midfield. You got fast movement from your midfield and direct delivery, your forwards are going to look fantastic.
That's good.
The moment your midfield's bogged down and held up and you get slow delivery into your forward line, you're stuffed. Yeah, I mean, you could see it with North Melbourne last week. They had a row of players basically from the goal square through to our forward 50 in that centre line, clogging up the forward 50 if we were too slow. So with modern football, if you're slow and you don't deliver it effectively, if we go back to what you were saying before, playing around with the ball too much and too many handballs, well then, you're sort of leaving your forwards in a bit of trouble.
Cheer, cheer the black and the white, honour the Magpies day and by night, live that loyal...
Let's move on and talk about the SANFL. It's the Old Firm tomorrow night, Friday night at Adelaide Oval. Port versus Norwood. Can we get revenge for that disappointing grand final loss last year? Once again, it's the televised game on 7, mate, so for those that can't make it, you still have a chance to watch it, which is fantastic. And look, Rick, I'm pretty excited this week. Do you know why I'm excited?
Because you're going to be at the village drinking piss all Friday night.
No, I won't be. There is another reason why I would be excited.
Your wife's not pregnant again, is she?
No, she's not pregnant again. No.
This is harder than the Who Am I? I don't know because it's televised. You get to watch it?
I do get to watch it. That's great. But no, look, I'll give up now because this could go on for a very long time. Mason Shaw is back. His first game for the year.
Shit, how did I get that wrong?
Big Mace.
Big Mason.
Come on.
He's my buddy, boys. He's going to kick 10 goals.
He is going to kick 10 goals.
What's with Logan Austin at back pocket?
Well, that's where he plays.
I thought he was a forward man.
No, that's Dougal Howard.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought Logan Austin, the big lumberjack, 195 centimetre, he's our next...
195 centimetre lumberjack centre half back.
Oh. Then why is he at back pocket? Cam O'Shea should be back pocket.
Well, it's never named exactly how it plays out, Rick.
You're telling me they're lying to me?
Yes.
Excellent. It's going to be an awesome game. I'm glad that it's televised, and I'm glad that our centre half back is playing in the back lines and not in the forward lines, because that would be disastrous.
It would be disastrous, yes.
What about the elephant in the room, boys, Johan Wagner? He got 4 disposals last week, and that was my concern with Johan. He looks the goods, but is he going to get enough ball? What's going on there?
Look, he had a good game in round 2, sorry. So he kicked a couple of goals, got about 16 or 17 touches. So I don't know. I think he's always going to be that sort of player where he comes in and out of the game. And one week he's going to look like an absolute star, and the next he's going to struggle to get the ball. I think that's just the way that his type of player is at this point in time.
Sammy Calhoun's running on the ball, which is a good sign.
Yeah, that's good. He's such a good player.
He's such a good player. And I guess the key for us is to see how Jared Redden goes from here, I would imagine. He had his stint very briefly with us, and now he's back where he probably should be to get his fitness and recovery back. So I'm keen to see how he performs over the next 10 weeks, because I think that was almost a bit of an unfair baptism of fire for 2015 for Big Red a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well, look, are you confident going into this one? We've only won 2 of the last 15 matches against Norwood, and we lost both the finals last year, but obviously Norwood had a shocking game last week against the Eagles.
Well, the form's not ideal, is it? And we've got pretty much no excuses with the team that we're throwing out there this week. We're almost at full strength, if not full strength.
Yeah, it would be pretty close to it. Yep.
Yeah, except for more. So, look, I would, if we can't back it in, Friday night game, under lights, ANZAC Day, we're going to struggle to beat them for the rest of the year, really. Lurker's talking about Netflix again, aren't you?
Oh, I just don't. I live in Melbourne, mate. I don't know anything about the SANFL.
So you just make something up.
Andrew Moore's a big loss. Cameron O'Shea will go into the midfield for him and get 30 touches. It'd be good.
What about the Magpies recruiting a player from the 90s in Jonathan Ross? How do you feel about that?
I think that's a pretty good recruitment. He looks like a good player. He'll do the team things.
He's only about
He's got a lot of experience.
A lot of experience.
Sorry, I thought he was
He's 48 years old now. Yeah.
I thought he was the former Crows player making a comeback. Well, you never know with the SANFL. They like to keep players going for as long as possible. Well, so does, on a side note, how amazing is it for these records that are coming up for Boomer Harvey, Dustin Fletcher, and Mick Malthouse? Legends of the game. And to think that, how old's Fletcher now? 105, and he's still playing? It's just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like they carry Dustin Fletcher a lot, though. They just give him such easy roles. Whereas, I don't know. But he does very well. Has there ever been a player play that many games where he wasn't just sort of dawdling by the end of it? I don't know. Seems way too long.
Well, how long Craig Bradley go for? He was fantastic until he retired. Michael Tuck was another one.
Robert Harvey. He's another.
Robert Harvey.
Robert Harvey.
They were still pretty influential when they were near the end of their career. And I guess the other name there is, in the academy side, boys, is Will Northeast. Have you been tracking his progress, Macca?
Yeah, he's a little midfielder. Got quick legs. He's a decent little player.
Do you reckon he'll get to SANFL level, maybe AFL level?
I think he'll get to SANFL league level. I think he's too short for AFL.
How tall is he?
Oh, he'd be lucky to be 170 centimetres.
And what's Jake Need, do you know?
171 or so, about that.
I think, and Mel, because my wife Melissa always goes on about how I love Jake Need, and the reason I love Jake Need is because AFL these days is all about KPIs of weight to height and having to be that perfect specimen, and then you've got a player like Jake Need, that's this little fella, and he's just a ball of muscle, and he still can make an impact, and that's what I love about the game. So even though we come out with these comments of he's too short, at least our game can still present that opportunity. If your desire and hunger is strong enough, that there can be an opportunity to still play at the highest level. And I think it would be great to have that dream of another Port Adelaide legend from the SANFL dynasty to have a son come through the ranks and make the AFL side. So I'm not squashing it. I'm living the dream and hoping that he can make it, even if he is a little bit short.
That's the way. Well, there are quite a few sons of in that reserve squad, so hopefully a couple of them can develop and make a name for themselves and get into the AFL team.
That'd be awesome. I'd like to see it.
That's it. Well, look, let's have a look across the other games in the AFL this week. Pick one that interests you guys.
You can go first, Lurker.
All right, thanks. Well, I was thinking either the game tomorrow night, because I'm going to it, Melbourne versus Richmond. That's still interesting to me, because I'm kind of not sure either of them are out, so it'll be interesting. And I think the Adelaide Western Bulldogs game as well. Another two teams.
Can't pick two.
All right.
Go on.
I guess I'll just watch that one game then. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're stirring you. That's right. You don't reckon it'll be a bloodbath to Adelaide?
I don't know. That's why I'm interested.
Yeah.
Western Bulldogs, they played well a few weeks back, and they did get smashed by Hawthorn, but Adelaide aren't Hawthorn, so...
Adelaide's playing pretty well, though. I mean, and Hawthorn, Bulldogs...
They've got some decent players back in the side. I mean, Matty Boyd, Bontempelli's back, Easton Wood, Clay Smith. It's a pretty decent lineup for the Dogs. I think the Crows should win that.
It's almost like they rested those boys on purpose, knowing they're going to get thumped by Hawthorn, so let's save them for the Adelaide, which might be a winnable game.
Yeah,
good strategy.
It is a good strategy. I'd like to see the Bulldogs win. And I'm with you with the Richmond-Melbourne game because, you just look at it and you think, yeah, Richmond, that's an easy pick and win, but Melbourne's been travelling along okay, and they didn't play that badly against Adelaide. So, I don't know. What do you reckon, Macca? What's your tip in this game?
Look, this is another fantastic round of footy, I reckon. Just about every game is 50-50, and it's going to be very hard to tip, I reckon. Richmond, Melbourne, I think probably... I'm going to tip Richmond by about 25 points in that one, I reckon.
Nice. Yeah, I've got Melbourne.
No. Yeah. Melbourne beat Richmond pretty much every year.
What was that, mate?
Melbourne beat Richmond pretty much every year, according to my friend.
Well, that's why I picked Carlton in round one, and that didn't help.
No, it's Carlton.
So... this is a game that stinks to me that Richmond should win it, so they'll probably lose it. So that's how I would look at it. I really like this Freo Sydney game. I reckon that's a cracker outside of our game. I've actually gone for Sydney. I'm telling you my secret tips here, Macca, because I'm not like Macca with the tips. I'm just got to pick all the home teams all the time because that's the safest way to go. And but
I am leading your tipping competition. Remember
it. All right.
I had a teacher do that once. Tip every home team for the whole year. And he got like 4 8s.
Nice. But I just think Sydney might be able to take advantage of the defence of Freo. They've probably got a little bit more talent up forward. And I think that could be the key differential. But both teams are firing on all cylinders, and I reckon that's going to be a cracker of a game.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt that is game of the round. Both teams are in fantastic form, so it'll be very interesting to see how that one plays out. I reckon Freo might win that one. My game of the round this week, or the one that I'm most interested in, is probably GWS and Gold Coast, just because I think GWS are in pretty good form. They're playing some pretty good footy. Gold Coast are absolutely struggling at the moment. But, can they turn it around this week? They got Charlie Dixon back in the side. It'll be interesting to see how they go. All right, boys. We might leave it there for the second. HaaWingard / Lurker. Great to have you back on, buddy.
Thanks for having me. Sorry, I disappeared.
Enjoy the footy this week and also enjoy the Richmond-Melbourne game.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Good work. Sorry you were stuck with me once again, Macca. It's all right. Wait till you get stuck with me in the lounge.
Well, look, that'll be enjoyable.
Yeah, free grog.
Free booze. Nothing wrong with that. Free food.
Drink your sorrows away.
Do you want to let listeners know again how they can win a chance to be in the lounge?
I have to do all the hard work, don't I? Yeah, of course. Yeah, so don't forget, go onto our Facebook page. I've put a link up there. You might just have to hunt it down now to subscribe, or there's a subscribe function on Port Fan Radio. Just subscribe to our mailing list. You don't get spammed. It's just about giving updates. I actually haven't sent an email yet for that reason. I don't want to be spamming people, but we'll just give updates of schedules and changes and shows and all that sort of stuff. So just subscribe to the mailing list and you go into the draw and I guess just keep listening in. So the Power Pair have got a $20 voucher to give away tomorrow night, and their shows at 6 o'clock. And then we've got the AFL review show on Sunday night. So Willow and the boys are back. And then we've got a new show coming up either this week or next week, Macca. A Magpie. They're going to be focusing on the Magpies. That's Mr. Speaker, Harold and Nick. They're going to do Wednesday nights and talk about the Maggie League, the Maggie Reserves and the Academy team. So nice. Lurker being based in Melbourne, that will give you an opportunity to catch up on the local footy. So when we put you on the spot, you've got an answer. And so we'll do our Who Am I on Monday night as well. And so there's a few things going on and support the sponsors, which is the Port Club getting on board with us and obviously New Vision as well, that sort of put all this together and is providing a lot of the merchandise and giveaway stuff. So it's just it's a good thing to be a part of, and onwards and upwards.
That's it. Thank you everyone for sending in your tweets this evening. It was great. And until next time, can't Port Adelaide.
Go the Power.
Big boomerang. He was the hero a couple of years ago in Port Adelaide's last showdown win. It's bending. That's an all-time classic.